we have our first big move, I'd say, from the city of Cleveland in the boxing match that is the Haslams against the city of Cleveland, because Mayor Bibb put out this really long, boring, schmoring memo, which I read because I feel like it's kind of part of my job to inform you guys, and I will summarize it for you. But basically, what the mayor is informing the Haslams about is they are going to invoke the Modell Law. If you don't know what it is, let me kind of catch you to speed really quickly. So we all know that former Browns owner Art Modell kind of overnight picked up the team, moved into Baltimore, and afterwards, Ohio lawmakers passed a law that you cannot just move a team willy-nilly. And that's what Mayor Bibb, the mayor of Cleveland, is trying to invoke here to stop the Browns from moving the team out of the city of Cleveland to Brook Park. Let's actually read what the law says. Not the whole thing, because that's kind of a little bit boring, but, some parts of it. No owner of a professional sports team that uses a tax-supported facility, like the Browns do, for most of its home games, that is true, and receives financial assistance from the state or a political subdivision thereof shall cease playing most of its home games at the facility and begin playing most of its home games elsewhere unless the owner either. Now, before we look at the either, that part is true. The Browns do play at a stadium that's owned by the city. They have a lease. It runs through 2028. And the city has paid for renovations with taxpayer dollars. So, that part checks out. But here's where it gets a little bit open to interpretation, okay? Either A, enters into an agreement with the political subdivision permitting the team to play most of its home games elsewhere. They have not gotten agreement from the city of Cleveland. They can go move to Brook Park. Or B, gives the political subdivision in which the facility is located not less than 6 months advance notice of the owner's intention to cease playing most of its home games at the facility, and during the 6 months after such notice, gives the political subdivision or any other individual group or whatever who reside in the area the opportunity to purchase the team. The city right now, in chess terms, is playing their queen. The Browns... Let's back up for a second. This law, the way I read it, and I'm not a lawyer, and I'm sure there's lawyers watching right now who can do a much better job of explaining this. This law is being interpreted by the letter. Yes, the Browns are going to cease playing operations where they play a majority of their home games. I think the spirit of the law was you can't move the team to a different state. The Browns aren't moving to a different state. They're moving 20 minutes down the road. And that's what the Browns did, was they sued the city in a federal court, which is very important, to get an interpretation of what the law's intent is. And I think everyone believes the law's intent is this way the Browns can't be moved to Baltimore again or another city. Not, we don't want the Browns to move to Brook Park. When the law was crafted, I don't believe that the intent was we don't want the Cleveland Browns moving to a suburb. It was we don't want them moving out of the state. They are still staying in Northeast Ohio. Mayor Bibb, I think here, is trying to get off by a technicality. The Browns are fulfilling their lease, so they're not moving early. And show of hands, do you happen to know anyone in the Cleveland area in 6 months' notice can buy a team that's estimated worth as $5.4 billion? I don't. That's a lot of cash to raise really quickly, even for billionaires. So, good luck finding someone who would buy the team. That doesn't seem like that's actually a plausible outcome in this. Whether you like or dislike the Haslams, they're not going to sell, and there won't be a buyer in the area that the city can find in 6 months. No. I think this is a little bit of a Hail Mary effort. I'm no chess aficionado, but they are bringing their queen out really quickly because they've lost some, rooks and bishops and whatnot, and they are trying to go full throttle here. And I hate to kind of sound like a Haslam defender, but I'm going to kind of side with the Haslams on this one. The intent of this law was to make sure that the Browns don't leave overnight for another city again. It was not for the Browns to be stopped from moving to the suburbs. The Browns, I think, have had some good faith maybe not good faith, but they've been Boy Scouts about the negotiations with the city. They have looked into options. It's just clear it's not feasible to build a dome stadium where the current stadium location is. What the Browns want to do, and they're the owners, they can do what they want to do, can't be done where it currently sits. So if that means they move to Brook Park, I'm not a season ticket holder, and ultimately that's where my heart goes to, because they'll be redoing all season ticket holders with PSL's permanent seat license. And basically what that means is, hey, if you want to sit in this section, you have to pay $20,000 just to have the right to then purchase your tickets, which will cost thousands of dollars. When the stadium is built, they sell all those PSLs. And then you have the right every single year to renew your season tickets, and you don't have to keep paying $20,000. Depending on where your seat is, it could be way more than that. My guess is that the Browns are going to be chipping in $1.5 billion or so for their stadium. It's not going to be $20,000 to buy, let's just say like halfway up, 30-yard line. It'll probably cost about $100,000, give or take. Who's paying for that? Like, if the team's this bad, no one. But that's how the Browns are going to recoup a lot of their cash they spent on the stadium. And that's where my heart goes out to, is the season ticket holders that are probably going to either lose their season tickets or have to drop, 20, 30, 40, 50K on new PSLs and then get to buy the tickets again. And those tickets are going to be way more expensive than they currently are because the team has to recoup all the money they spent on building the stadium. So that's my condolences. It's not to Mayor Bibb. I'm sorry for those of you that want the team to stay in Cleveland because it's just always been in Cleveland. I get that. But can we start a new tradition? The current one ain't working. Tell me a time when the Browns have had some major advantage because of the cold weather. I just watched the Miami Dolphins with their backup quarterback beat the crap out of the Browns. Candy-ass uniforms. Northeast Ohio. Right after Christmas. Tyler Huntley beats the Browns. How about the New Orleans Saints? Play in a dome. Play in a swamp. They come to the Browns Stadium. It's like negative 10 degrees. Playoff hopes on the line. And the Browns lose. So, I'm not seeing much of an advantage. I know nostalgia, and that's how AFC North football is played. Well, you know what? Hasn't worked out for the Browns well, has it? So maybe it's time to switch things up. If that's the argument for keeping it in its current location, nostalgia, what nostalgia are we holding on to? Losing? Let's write some new history here. Let's make some new traditions. The old ones have brought nothing but factory of sadness. So I'm going to say Brook Park. I have switched sides. I used to be on the nostalgia side. I really was. And then, honestly, it was the Saints game that broke it for me. 2022 Saints game. When I was like, what are we doing here? It's 5 degrees outside. And they're losing to a team from New Orleans. You're not gaining an advantage. So can we just go inside, please? Not freeze and lose in the process? If you're going to lose, at least don't lose in 5 degrees. All right, before we get out of here, a couple of things I want to talk about. But first, awesome deal going on over at Fanatics. This Browns hoodie, which I think is pretty sick, it's 60% off. It's usually $75. It's going for $30 right now. So I put the link for it down below in the comment section. It could be a little late gift to yourself, or if you just want to have a sweet jacket waiting for you for the rest of winter and then going into next fall, chatsports.com/CLE hoodie. All right, one quick quarterback news note I want to talk about just right here off the bat. Kevin Stefanski on Tuesday speaking to the media wouldn't really commit to one quarterback for Saturday's game against the Ravens. Not like it matters. It's a pointless game for the Browns anyway. They're going to lose. But we might get Bailey Zappi, who will be the 40th quarterback to start for the team since 1999. I think it'd be kind of cool, just so we have a Z. I think we might get all 26 letters. That would be a fun project. How many letters do we have remaining for first letter of the last name? We got a couple. We got a lot of them. 40 quarterbacks going to help carve out a lot of those letters. So that's the one thing. The other thing I want to talk about is Jameis Winston has had this shoulder injury ever since he got injured. What? I don't think that's accurate. I feel like this is just the Browns wanting to go, well, Jameis gives us a better chance of winning. And maybe they've already decided we want to bring Jameis back, and we want an earlier draft pick. So we're going to play DTR. Maybe he shocks us. Maybe he plays super well, and we go DTR as kind of the front runner as the starter for 2025. And if we learn DTR sucks, well, we learn DTR sucks, and we get a better draft pick in the process. I'm not buying this Jameis shoulder injury. Something smells a little funky about this one to me. Okay, that's going to do it for us on today's episode. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the free content we put out here. Hope everyone watching has a wonderful New Year's Eve. I really appreciate everyone for hanging out with us. Hit the sub button like I said, and a big special shout out to the Brown and Orange Club. Tim Green, Mike Dibble, Jeremy Stallman, Slow But Sure, David Botner, Jared Brandt, James Harper, Papa T, Joseph DePorte, Mike, Ray Bidding, Dr. No, Eli Green, John Porter, Scorpion, Max T, Jacob Bate, Drunken Honky, Pistol Slothy, Kiki changed her profile picture, Richard Belt, James Belt, Nicholas, Ty Man, Paul, Miami Mac, also changing his profile picture, A1 Eagles fan, USA, Doug Wick, Invalid Argument. I've got Brian Petticord, Lawrence Burkett, go Vols Lawrence, Kathy and Jim. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us all season long. I appreciate everyone's contributions and support of the channel for 2024, and I hope I can have you guys back in 2025.